So while our paint is drying, we can look to this motor. You can see here that the wires are not in very good condition. They're cracked, the insulation's gone, and I'm hoping to be able to replace these. However, I'm having a lot of difficulty getting these screws off. These regular screws are super tight. I broke 2 screwdrivers, even a snap-on screwdriver, trying to get those off. If you've got a Phillips or regular screw like this that you really can't get off with the screwdriver, there's the last ditch effort is an impact, what do they call these things? Impact driver or something like that. And what it is you put a regular or Phillips screw in it, and as you hit it with a hammer, and as you hit it, it shocks it and it rotates it. So as the impact goes down on the hammer, it rotates it to the left to loosen it up. And if you can't get a screw loose with anything else, sometimes this will work. You see, there's almost always a way if you just keep after it. This is a classic example of one of those things that you should just leave well enough alone and get in here and start messing up other things. But this being my fire engine, for my fire engine, and I really need it, I just can't have those wires like that. Boy, what a motor. What a motor. Boy, this is one serious motor. All this to turn a hose reel. Look at the brushes, 4 brushes. This is not going to be easy. So here's our cable. This one's easy to replace here. Looks like this one's connected right there. That got the screw loose. But this one runs all the way into the other side. So I'm going to have to put this lid back on and crack open the other side as well and hopefully disconnect it. Boy, I'm getting deep in here, man. I just don't know. It is working now. I'll start messing around with this thing and it's not going to work. I'll break something. So it's just too much. It's too deep in there. One of the power cords went in and it was part of the magnets. It's beyond me. It's just running too much risk of, it's not beyond me, but it's just running too much risk. It's just too old and too fragile. Look how cool this is. What a great design. The brushes, you can change them by removing these little plugs. I was scratching my head. I'm like, how am I going to get those brushes all compressed back in there? And I got to looking at it, and these little brass plugs. That's what holds them in there. That's just brilliant. Just brilliant. This stuff, man, it was just made to run and run and run, and to be able to work on easy. It's such a different mindset of the way so many things are manufactured today. This was meant to last a guy a lifetime. So no problem here. I'm not going to exactly cut a corner. I've got a plan B here. We can still replace the cables in a way that will be acceptable. Here, and I'll show you how. All right, so I pulled this boot back. This is what keeps the water out of the connection right there. And here's where it was exposed. This here is what we're going to do is we're going to cut these. We'll start with the ground here. And this part here, since it hasn't been exposed to the outside, it's in good condition. The insulation's still pliable. The wire is in much better condition, and so we can strip this off of here, and we'll make the connection here Yeah, see that rubber is still soft. So I've got a wiring harness from a battery wiring harness from an old Jeep Wrangler here. And with the exact same size wire, actually a little bit bigger, which is not going to hurt a thing. It's already got the nice factory Mopar ends on it. And so we'll just use that. We'll get rid of this old brittle one. It really is brittle. I could crack it right there. It needs replacing. And we could just use this, make sure it's the same length. We know that worked before. We'll strip the insulation on the new piece as well. Nice, good, nice copper wire. That's beautiful. So here's our wire coming out. I'll use these really nice commercial grade. This is number 4 for number 4 wire. Unions, or splicers. And then we want to trim this down to the right length so that when we go in here, we want to be able to slide that insulation just goes in there just a little bit, so that needs to be cut back even more. You want that to go, that insulation to fit in there nice and tight, just like that. That's really nice right there. So this is the ground. So here's a tool many of you probably have never seen before. This is a professional style electrical crimper. This is how you make proper wire crimps. So that union piece we put in there that's going to splice the 2 wires. So you can see here as this comes together, it smashes that down into an octagon shape. It squeezes from all sides. And what's really cool about these is that you can size them for all different sizes of wire. By simply pushing the spring in, you can rotate these dies there to correspond to the correct size of wire that you need to crimp. So with our union in there now, we can run this in here. You have to put the Swede on these things. It's pretty stiff. Now you can see there that is properly crimped. That's not going anywhere. So now we can measure for our 3M tape. Both these wires were black, so I like to have the color coded wires, red for positive and black for negative, with the corresponding heat tape. So I've got red and black. So we'll want this to be, want to measure this, so we know we want to come out here a little ways. So somewhere there. So we'll just cut this thing in half, and that'll be good. I love doing electrical work. I've always enjoyed it. I'd give you young guys, any advice. If you're going to go into the trades, I would say that you could do worse than going in as an electrician. So that will be covered there, just like that, very nicely. So we'll save that here, and then I'll work up the second one. Oh man, that's the goods. That's properly done there. Look at that. That stuff seals around there. Get some goo on there. That shrink tape was a little bit big for this application, but it shrunk down just fine. So in a perfect world, I get another piece of big shrink tape like that would fit around that, tie that all together. But my dad gave me this stuff. Some of you guys, I've showed it before. It's an amazing product. It's called Rescue Tape. Well, that's what this is being marketed at. 950 PSI tensile strength. 8,000 volt rated, 500 degree Fahrenheit heat resistant. Some of you guys have told me that you use it in the military. And it is awesome, awesome stuff. So I keep this is what you want to keep this in your emergency kit and your toolkit for your truck. So I'm gonna pull off a piece of this here. And you know what, I could tell you guys that I'm gonna use this temporarily until I get a piece of the right size shrink tape. But we both know the reality is this stuff is so good, it'll always be on here. Who am I kidding? Okay, so we'll take off the adhesive side of it. It is sticky and sticks to itself. And it's stretchy. It's gonna be hot. Whoops. Hope I'm doing it right here. You kind of got to go get it started there. See, it's really stretchy, and it's really great stuff. I fixed a, you know that plastic poly pipe that you probably use it in your garden? I had that under pressure, and I had a hole in it. Oh, I should have washed my hands first. Had a hole in it, and I used this stuff on it, and it stopped the leak. It's still out there pumping without, but I haven't done a repair on it. Under pressure. There, it kind of sticks back to itself there. I'm also going to put, I'm going to do a nice tight wrap of electrical duct tape on there because I don't like to look at that red there so much. Good UL 3M. All electrical tape, this black stuff is not created equal. That Harbor Freight stuff is not like the 3M, the proper stuff. So before I go into the trouble of painting it all up and all that, I'll put my battery cables on, jumper box on here, and give it the smoke test. See, I'm not 100% sure I put it back together right. Boy, that was a detour. 40 years of wandering in the wilderness here. All right, let's go paint it.